All right, so I'm troubleshooting this reverse camera, not working, on a B8.5 Audi S5. I happen to also have a B8.5 Audi S4, and that gives me all of the parts to be able to test and troubleshoot. So I read up, there's a TSB on replacing the wiring harness for it, which I thought, okay, cool, it's 66 bucks, no big deal. I mean, a TSB, I guess you could kind of complain, try to get the manufacturer. Of course, making a dealership appointment, getting them to talk to the manufacturer, it's just a pain in the ass. So why not just check? If it's 60 bucks, just fix it. So swap the harness on the cars, no reverse camera on the S5. Swap the cameras. No reverse camera on the S5. Okay, that's weird. Is it the module itself? I had checked voltage. You get about 6.4 volts when you put it in reverse, so that's normal. That's not it. It's not that. So I'm like, all right, must be the module. That's the only, at the fuse, which is right next to it in the trunk. I'll show you now. The last thing is at the fuse, they're 12 volts, right? I guess it runs through the module, puts out 6 when you put it into reverse. So I figured, okay, the last variable that hasn't been touched is the module. So it must be the module. It's probably expensive as hell. Let me swap that. So I go start taking it apart. I figured I would just point this out because I bet you a lot of people have this problem. So let's see. Pretty. So I come in here, here's the harness, no big deal. There's a 10 millimeter, a 10 millimeter here, and then 10 bolts, and then there are two 10 millimeter nuts on the top. And that allows you to take all of the metal bracket out of the way. You have to take off the, emergency, that's to take this off. That's a different video though. I'm sure there are plenty of videos on how to remove the trunk tray. Actually, you know what? There weren't that many. So you pull open these hatches that access the bulbs. There are 2 screws. There's one screw on the pull handle here, right here, and there's another screw here. You have to pull the emergency release out of the way, pull the cap off of it, and there's a little ball. You actually remove it, and it pulls through. And then there's one screw here. So pull both those screws. You unclip these just enough to slide them down and away from the backing. And then you start prying from here. Pry. There's a little cap that goes onto this thing that backs up to this. Pull that off. And then there's a cap here. And you pull that off too. You pull this off. It's a plastic cap. The whole thing comes out. Boom, you got access. So then, boom, you start troubleshooting this and that, whatever. The way that I got the camera out, I guess I might as well explain that. Camera coming out was... Just got this car, by the way. Camera coming out was everything unplugged on the back, and then from the front, it's actually a pain in the butt to try to, I feel like you would scratch the hell out of this. So from the back side, you'd actually just push it. There's a tab on this side, and there's a tab on this side that you can easily see once you're inside. From in here, well, I guess I could yeah, there it is. See, tab. And then it literally just pushes out. So if you need to pop the camera out to test or to remove or whatever, you can do that. So it wasn't the camera. This is the harness from the TSB. It's this plug, this plug to the camera, boom, boom. And then this wire here actually runs to the reverse camera module. So here we have, I had at the fuse right here, fuse number 6. Fuse number 6 is a 5 amp fuse. Had 12.5 volts here, no problem. Through the wire, I jammed my fluke tester into this. I was getting 6.46 volts out of this, so I was getting the signal that I needed, and I confirmed that. First of all, my buddy looked it up, and it is accurate. That is what you're supposed to get. So I thought, oh crap, I'm getting low voltage, but it wasn't that, because I checked the S4 and it gets the same voltage. So now in here, the module is in here. And I'm thinking, that's bizarre. I mean, it's a well cared for car, this and that. So I started taking it apart. This is actually the fuel release. This is the emergency fuel release in case your little actuator stops working. Anyway, the module for the reverse camera is inside here. So the way it comes out looks like there's a 10 up here. There's a 10 hidden on the other side. There's a 10 here, but this nut is actually for this other thing. So the other 10 that's hidden back up in there. So you get that. Now it looks like it unclips. So I was about to take this out. I go, let me get the wire out of the way. This looped huge wire out of the way, right? So I start pulling on it and I go, oh, that's really weird. It runs up by this spring for the trunk. And guess what? A very sensitive electrical wire that runs up by the spring doesn't like. Snippity doodah, baby. Snippity doodah. This was why I don't have reverse camera on my B8.5 S5. There were not a lot of videos or any troubleshooting on this stuff, so I figured I would just throw one together really quickly. But that's it. If it's not that other, this is the first thing I would check now. Check this first because it runs in a really precarious place. I don't know why, but I can't imagine that this cable is very expensive. And it's probably spliceable. I might be able to splice it back together. We'll see. But it's one of those shielded, like an RCA cable kind of, so I don't know if I'll be able to. I might be able to see. If it's cheap, I'll just buy another one. And then I'll route it in a way that it's not near the spring. It's funny because I see this one, right? This one's plugged in, and I double checked because there are 3 plugs there, but one of them there is no plug. The brown one on the bottom, there is nothing there because my S4 doesn't have it either. And where did I see? I saw another, what looked like a snipped wire, but I'm glad. What a relief. Easy fix. Easy and probably cheap fix. So that's all. Well, everyone, problem solved. Cannot believe it. Check this out. We've got reverse camera. I'm so relieved. Alright, this wraps the video up. But honestly, I'm going to say that this will end up being a very good B8.5 or probably any Audi reverse camera troubleshooting guide. Let me show you what I got. Okay. Again, module. Found the... Hey, Spring, what's up, man? You snipped my camera, you bastard. Anyway, got it here, right? Plugged it in. Look how much excess cable there is. So I was looking at online. It's like $5 just for the FACRA connector. So I was thinking about trying to terminate there's so much extra. I was trying to figure out maybe I'll get a something to terminate a FACRA connector or whatever. But how often will you use that? Probably not very often. So I like any excuse to get a new tool, but not if I'm not going to use it often or ever. So here it is, plugged in. This is the cable in question. So it's female FACRA. And this is what gave us camera. So obviously that's just a test, but it's just like an RCA cable. The inside I believe is negative. Thanks, Johnny. Outsides are positive. So I'm gonna clean that up, wrap it in Tessa tape. I'll probably put a little, if I could find some, I'll put a little tubing or something to protect it around the spring to make sure that don't ever happen again. And then we should be good. Done. Got reverse camera at 0 cost.